Hey, hey. It sounded like I was just about to start a song. Hey. Get my Elvis on. Hey guys. Good afternoon. It's actually past 12 o'clock. We are late. Damn it. Almost lost the phone over the balcony. We are late. And I am waiting for Maddie Attanasio, is a good Italian name for you, to be joining us shortly, because it's Physicality Thursdays. Well, if you're in this time zone, it is. So it's been a big hey. Oh, there's Annie Shivers. Right, sending out some love. There we go. We are going to be talking today on that same theme we've been doing all week, which is to do with emotions. And, we started with Anne on at the beginning of the week. Well, actually me, and I don't know where the hell that one ended up. It was actually earth-shattering. I did Mindful Monday for the first time, and I was giving an overview of my own story, crunched into 30 minutes. Try crunching in 52 years over 30 minutes, and I don't think it kind of worked. Okay, so I don't know where it ended up. I'm a middle-aged millennial or something. I might have to do it again properly on the next Mindful Monday. And then we had Anne regarding relationships, and I'm bringing on Maddie here. There we go. We had Anne Western Murphy on emotional eating versus purposeful eating, and now we're going to get emotional in the gym, Maddie.
Whoa, emotional.
Whoa. Yeah, we're gonna get. In fact, I was thinking, maybe, yeah. Oh my God, he's got no emotional. He just lost his phone.
I totally lost.
Don't throw the phone around, Maddie. I was thinking, because I think when you're moving. In fact, look, before we get straight into this, how are you?
Yeah.
Maddie?
Fantastic.
Are you?
Yeah. Why,
cool.
do I look
right.
non-fantastic?
That's,
Holy jeez.
Starting to get emotional.
This is what happens when you have a short earpiece.
What? A short earpiece. The kids showed up today. She's saying, someone's playing with us here on the side.
Who's that?
Yeah, it's Anne. If you slide across on your display, you'll see the comments coming up. So you just brush your finger across, and you see comments scrolling.
Yes, she's watching with me.
There we go. What the hell is going on over there, Maddie? Oh, the phone. It's like we're talking this week about emotional stuff, and we did it with relationships. In fact, I did my first Mindful Monday. I don't know where the fuck that ended up. Might have to do it again. But Tuesday was with Anne, and we're talking about relationships, emotions, and the body, right? And then we had Anne Western Murphy talking about the body, but what we're sticking in the body, like food and emotional eating versus purposeful eating, right?
Yes.
Well, let's look at some emotional gym versus purposeful gym. But one thing about the gym, which we didn't talk about this when we were talking about this, was that you can get out of a funk. You can get out of a funk in the gym, and I think it's connected to like endorphins, right? I think it's the moving hormone or something. But I don't know. I'm not the expert in this area. You are, but emotions in the gym. What's going on with that?
When you say you can get out of a funk in the gym, what do you mean by that? Meaning, you are in a funk, and by going to the gym, you get out of it?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when your your phone's alive, when you least want to go to the gym, it's funny, when you really don't want something, like for some people it's meditation. That it's probably what you mostly need. You might not want it, but you really need it. And so the gym is like, you could be like, maybe your chronobiology says it's best time after work. You've had a shit day. And the last thing I want to do right now emotionally is I want to go to the fucking gym and put more pain on myself. I've got enough emotional pain happening. But you could actually go to the gym and turn that all around. Fuck off, TG.
Yeah. We've all been there.
We've all been there, yeah. So wherever you want to start, man, I'm giving you a lead in on that angle if you want to, but I don't want to get across the agenda you might have already set for today.
Well, this is sort of, I don't know if there's an agenda. What we're going to talk about through the guidance of maybe the people and you and I, the fact that, you know, you brought up when you're in a funk and you go to the gym and it helps you to get out of the funk. I mean, that's, I think that's the obvious thing. You know, I don't want to sound like superior, inferior. It's the obvious in the sense that when you move your body, when you commit to something, when you exert energy, okay, when you sweat, when you put effort into you, all these chemical reactions occur, be it the brain or the body, and it literally changes your total sense of being. Most people that I've worked with, or even now, the people that who exercise will emphatically tell you that I didn't want to go to the gym today. I had no interest, but I did because I know that after I'm done, I feel better. That is almost a weekly thing that I hear. So how great is that? Somebody understands that if they're in a funk, if they're in a position where they don't feel their best, they flip the switch, be it on a conscious level, and they say, you know what? I know that when I go to the gym, I'm going to feel better, and therefore raise my mood. And so, you know, I don't want to say this is elementary because it may upset some people, but there's no doubt that and I hear it all the time, literally, when I'm working with my people, whether it's one-on-one or in a group setting, a lot of them will literally say, you know, I didn't really want to come today, but I came because I know it makes me feel better. And what's better than literally saying to yourself, and you providing your own motivation, your own inspiration. It's easy to get inspiration from outside ourselves. That's motivation. But to go inside and inspire yourself, that's very different. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Well, it should be interesting to hear from Anne on this subject too. I mean, if just to hear her experience, if she's still watching. I don't know. She might have. I think she told me to fuck off, so she could have gone. But just to hear another view. All right. So you're saying it's a mental thing. Hi, Ian.
Yeah, my good friend Ian, who loves working out, he's watching. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. Hi, Ian.
He's a very popular, well-known guy in the United States, especially in the New York area, in terms of music and DJing and real estate. So amazing guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Why can't I say Ian? That's weird. Okay.
It just says he's watching.
Okay. Cool. I'm not getting that read up. Anyway, so. So it comes down to you going internal rather than external. So it's a bit of an inside-out thing, and flicking a switch. You said, and that switch is obviously in your brain. I'm guessing.
Well,
or is it deep in your soul?
That's speaking my language. You know.
There we go.
I think there are elements that, when you talk about consistency, when you talk about digging deep, when you talk about finding something internal, what inside of you is going to get you to go to the gym, or whether it be at home, whether it be in nature, or whether it be going to, what is inside of you and what can you connect to, because everybody's different, that is going to get your butt out of bed, out of the chair, out of the car, out of work, instead of going home, going to what is that? And again, everybody is different. They're going to have to go inside. We talk about motivation, we talk about inspiration, and they're very different, and we've discussed this to a certain extent. But when you talk about emotions, when you talk about using them to your benefit, it always, when it comes to sustainability, the ability to continually exercise and move your body, it has to come from within. Now, there will be days where you don't necessarily want to go to the gym, but you may find an external motivator. And it could be a video piece. It could be your friend calling you up and say, listen, I'm going, or you know, let's go. I know you don't want to go, but get your butt there. I'll see you there in 20 minutes. Whatever it
Yep.
may be. So you have to find out what makes you tick inside. And everybody
Yeah.
has a different motivation within themselves, a different inspiration. And for some people,
Right. Right.
a lot of times it's all about your driver. And we could talk about the difference between your drivers and your behaviors. If you want, we can go there, or however you want to.
I reckon. Well, I reckon to first, before we go there,
Okay.
you're at work and you want to break it down. You're at that decision point of thinking, "Oh, I really don't want to go to the gym right now."
Yeah.
Or you're up in the morning and you know, I'm just not feeling it today. You know,
Yeah.
I've got. I'm a man and I've got my monthlies as a male, right? And so, how can you kind of break this down to bite-sized bits, or what techniques would you suggest people use to just get moving? You know, take the steps that, you know.
Yeah, I think let's look at why did you start in the first place? You know, a lot of times people get started and they have great intentions or goals, and they sometimes forget about those things. And all they focus on is the moment as
Right.
opposed to what their goal is per se. So they think, oh, I'm tired. And they're in their headspace right now. I
Yeah.
don't feel like it. And they start
Right.
telling themselves stories, right?
Right.
Now, these
Yeah.
stories are typically bullshit in plain
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Yes, you may be tired. Yes, you may be. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to sabotage yourself, right?
Right.
And a lot
Right.
of times you have to go back to what was your internal motivator in the beginning. Now, the
Yeah.
problem is a lot of times people have drivers that are dictating their behavior they don't even realize. For example, and maybe I'm going a little too fast here, so maybe I'll hold back on this spot, but
Right.
we need to learn how to flip that language. So I'm tired. Okay, flip that. Are you really tired, or are you trying to come up with an excuse? If
Right.
you decide that you don't want to work out, how is that going to reflect your day? Will you be even more tired? Can exercise actually make you more
Or
energetic?
energetic.
Yeah. Can it
Twist
bring
your fate.
about more?
Flip
Yeah.
you.
So right. Yeah. Absolutely. So you have to come up with your own versions of flipping the switch.
Right.
Here's an example. I think it was Monday. I was sort of in this, do I want to go now or later frame of mind about working out. And I think the first thing that came to my head, literally the first thing that came to my head was, okay, if you put it off, there's a higher chance it won't happen.
Yep.
Just because in the past, that's what happens. When you make plans, life can get in the way. So I literally had to say to myself, okay, do it now because you promised yourself, meaning me, that you are committing to this exercise session today. Don't make an excuse. You're worthy of this. And this is me talking. This is me saying to myself, I'm worthy to do this. I live in this body every day. I must not only practice what I preach, but I feel good. So don't put it off and follow what you teach. And sometimes I have to be my own coach, right?
Right. Right.
Sometimes I have to talk myself into things. So to be honest with you, that day was probably one of my best days in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
There you go, right?
Because what I had to do is I had to change my frame of thinking and change the verbiage and saying, I don't necessarily want to do this now. What if I do it later? That was just maybe an internal mechanism that might be sabotaging it that I haven't thought about.
Yep.
But I had to right then and there
Yep.
respond and
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm going to do this now because who knows what's going to happen later. And I took
Right.
accountability, right?
Right.
And so I went literally that within 5 minutes, I was out the door, and I went before my session with my group, and I had an awesome session. And it was almost like as I'm driving there, I almost felt really good that I coached myself out of it, right? I coached myself out of, and we can be our own coaches. We just have to find out what makes us tick.
So you had to
Does that
go
make
to the
sense?
mental. You had to go to the mental gym first before you went to the physical gym.
Yeah,
Right?
no doubt about it.
And do an exercise perhaps that is best for you, because different people have different ways of handling this. And you
Yes.
mentioned yours. I mean, mine would have been And I know you like, so you've gone and got the leverage on yourself and digging deeper, and then also being realistic and saying, look, if I don't do this now, it's increased risk later in the day. And maybe even, if we're going to get personal health about this, I'll look at my chronobiology and say, look, it actually says, according to data about my type of people, that there's less chance it's going to happen then, and I'm best suited to do it now. But to break it down, I'll break it down and go, Tommy, just put the gear on. Just put the stuff on first. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's a win. And then to go, okay, just roll up at the gym. You don't have to have a solid workout. In fact, don't care if you just sit on the bike and go slow and you listen to a podcast. Hardly any effort whatsoever. No pain.
Right.
Right? So no pain. Just roll up. Thing is, I find out once I've woken up, and then you've got more adrenaline and cortisol starting to happen, and then you get the gear on, and then you get a bit more motivated if you get the gear on, and then you go out to the gym. A lot of the times, by the time you get there, if you're having to go there, my gym's got one of my gyms down there on that sandy stuff down there.
Yeah.
Right? Which makes it a little easier.
Absolutely.
But there is one downstairs. I can go straight downstairs in the lift, right, and use one there, or I can run 3 kilometers down the road here.
Sure.
Right, to the Gold Coast Aquatic Centre, and I've got a membership there for some better equipped gym and other things they do there. So just breaking it right down to a couple little wins along the way. And if what you're feeling is that I don't want to feel that effort feeling today, cool. Don't do things that are that effort, but go and do the other pieces. And just roll up. Just roll up. So and when you're there, I find that I have a solid workout every freaking time. So
yeah, because I think what it is this. It's kind of like you've empowered yourself. So if we continuously use external people, places, and things to constantly motivate us, what's going to happen if they're not available? What are we going to do when they're not present for us or available to us? So we have to look inside of us and say, you know what drives me? What's been the reason why I've been exercising? Yeah, why am I doing this?
Grab the why.
And a lot of times people are afraid to go inside because they're not sure what they're going to hear, and they may not like it. But so here's an example. When you talk about people who want results, who want to exercise and get better and look better, sometimes there's an internal mechanism that they're not aware of. And I'm going to give you something that, and hopefully the people, when they hear this, understand the professionalism I'm trying to come from, okay? This is something that has always been on my mind as to why somebody would potentially sabotage himself. And it's a very, very tough situation. So hopefully people can understand that we have underlying immaterial drivers that can sabotage us. So that the material end result, which is our behavior, by literally either you're going to the gym or you don't go to the gym, we are driven by these immaterial things, these intangible things, the things that you don't see, taste, or feel, but they're within us.
Right.
And I'm really diving in on this because I think it's really important. There are a lot of people out there, specifically women, okay, who want to exercise and they want to look better and feel better.
Right.
And sometimes their drivers aren't the best. And maybe because they hate their body, maybe it's because they don't like the way they look, or they think if they look better, they'll be attractive to the opposite sex, or who knows, today they're the same sex, it doesn't matter. In the end, though, I'll give you an example of something that I came across that was very eye-opening. And this was probably 12 to 13, 14 years ago. I had to really get deep with this person to find out why they kept sabotaging themselves. And I'm not saying this is the only reason why somebody would sabotage themselves. But this particular person, a female, wanted to look better and wanted to exercise and feel better. She wanted to lose weight, okay? I knew she had some traumas, and I'm sort of delivering the story in a certain way.
Yep.
It's very, very touchy, and some can maybe relate this, maybe somebody can. But hopefully we'll understand.
Okay.
Every time she started to get momentum, every time she started to see results, every time there were things that started to go her way, she would sabotage herself by saying things to herself or doing things that she was totally unaware of, or she would stop eating well, or she would stop exercising consistently. And we had to really dig deep on this one. I come to find out that she, at a younger age, when she looked her best, physically speaking, she had a very unfortunate rape situation,
Right.
a sexual situation that was obviously very emotional. And so she tied it, because of the way she looked, to maybe why it happened. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. That was her story at the time. And so a lot of times we don't know our internal drivers because we don't see them, we don't taste them or feel them,
Right. Not
in the
aware
sense
of
of
them.
they're not in front of us. They're not tangible.
Yep.
They're not physical things.
Yep.
And it was a eye-opener for not only myself, but for this particular person, that her internal story finally surfaced, and we had to really figure out, okay, what is it that when you start to make progress, why do you keep sabotaging yourself? This was one of the stories that really threw her for a loop. So the reason why I bring this up is that we can have all the greatest intentions, but what is the driver behind it? And what do I mean by that? Our behaviors are very, very much directed based on our beliefs and our expectations, which are based on our thoughts and our perceptions about ourselves through the influences we've had in our life. And this particular influence was somebody who, despite wanting to go to the gym and despite wanting to look better and feel better, was not aware until we really got deep as to why she kept sabotaging herself. So we had to really figure out, how can we flip this language around? This was when I was not really much aware of the mindset aspect as I am now. But it really had to come down to her changing her perspective, changing her story, changing as to why she was going to the gym. Is she going to the gym unknowingly to look better, but she didn't really know why, and how come it kept happening that she would sabotage herself? And this happens a lot. This is, and listen, I'm not saying this only happens to women. There are men who maybe don't like a lot of attention, right? But if they look good and they get attention, they feel odd about it or feel weird about it. I've had that happen from some people. And so they get to a point that they sabotage themselves. So we all have drivers within us that keep us from moving forward, bring up excuses that we're not aware of, and we say to ourselves, why do I keep doing this? Why do I find myself not wanting to continue? I've been doing this for 3 months. I think I'm making progress, and all of a sudden, something within me tells me to stop or not move forward. So we have to truly learn as to what is the thing that's making us do this. You know, what are the influences in our life that are causing us to do this? Are we doing this from a good place, from a loving place of, I love my body, I love the mechanisms of my body, I respect this living entity within me, and I am within it, and I have a true connection to it, and therefore I'm doing this for me, I'm not doing this for anything outside of me. When you can use that as an internal motivator, and you can connect to it and you can utilize it every day, the wiring within your brain, the wiring within your system will be more deeply rooted than the old story you used to have, which was maybe for external validation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
So you're controlling the controllable, so to speak, which is you. And
empowering yourself, control yourself. Yes.
Changing your own wiring, because if you're depending on external impulses to do it, then you're at the whim of the world, more so. So we've got some things here coming from good old Stevie Head, the author, the fitness author extraordinaire. You can put a quick plug on here for your book if you want, Steve. Saw that story coming a mile away. The exact same phenomenon with a client of mine in 1991. Lisa Huber. It's hard to identify the hurdle. Overcoming the hurdle is harder. Right.
Yes.
You don't know what it is. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Well, there you go. So that's part of the 4 phases of learning, right?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know until you
Yep.
come to find out. So this
Yep.
particular person, once they found out what their story was and it surfaced, now they went from I don't know why I keep doing this to now I know why. And
Right.
therefore now I can take accountability for it and I can now change the story and now I can empower myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, and it takes time. Depending on how long that's been in your system, it
Right.
can happen quickly,
Yep.
and quickly could be a week or 2 or 3, a month, 3,
Yep.
4, 5 months. It all depends on the person's willingness to dive there and to go there every time it surfaces. So we go
Right.
from this place of not knowing what we don't know to now knowing, right? And now we
Right.
have to consciously be competent on a daily basis, not a weekly
Right.
basis, a daily basis, to change our frame of mind, to
Right.
change our perspective and tell a new story.
So,
And go ahead.
go on. Well, it's like there's a whole gym in your head first before you head to that gym that's outside your head. I mean, you're getting
Yeah.
mentally fit. You're getting
Yeah.
mentally fit to be physically fit.
So much.
Right?
And anything, let's put it this way. Anything that manifests in the physical world, I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you're talking about buildings. I don't care if you're talking about bodies. I don't care if you're talking about cars. Anything that's in the physical realm must start here. Has to start somewhere in your mind or somebody else's mind. And therefore has to be created there first. And then
Right.
you create these belief systems that it can be done and that it's
Right.
possible.
Right.
Part of that is getting to the reasons why it isn't happening in the first place, right?
Right. Okay.
And getting rid of those stories. And so when we're talking about emotions and we're talking about exercise, identifying what those are, that can be really important, and being able to flip that switch quickly. And everybody has their own way of doing it. Lisa is one of my clients, and I know she's made some changes that she's had to overcome. And there are times where she doesn't want to go to the gym, but she's one of the people that says, but when I do go, I know I feel better afterwards.
Right.
And that's a
Right.
motivator for me. That's an inspiration for me. And she's very internally driven. And it's been a pleasure to watch her go from a person who had a lot of pain and through exercise and some other stuff in her past to now really like owning it in the gym on a daily basis. It's just awesome to see. So when you overcome and you get recognition of your stories that are holding you back, those emotional things that are keeping you from moving forward, you identify them, you own them, and then you start to tell yourself and change that story, things start to move in the direction. So it's been pretty cool to watch for her as well. So go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. So through that repetition, you're starting to build this new synapse or pathway in your head, right?
Yep.
That's heading in the right direction. Nice little love heart there from Lisa. And so you're getting stronger in mind, and you're coming off the right platform, which is more purpose-based and something you have more control over because it's one of the controllables, which is you, right? And the more you do that, the better you become at it. And I mean, from my experience, I found that. And of course, then what starts to happen is, sure, you start to look and feel different. So you start to get leverage on that. You start to get momentum. It starts to become easier, right? Now, I mean, the reason we're also talking about this at this time of year is that we're getting to that next 2 weeks is when there's going to be a lot of gym memberships that aren't going to be getting used.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
If
they're
not
going to be at
already.
that peak right now, if not already. They've gone in,
Yeah.
they've gone hard, they don't know what they're doing, they haven't been given any advice by anybody like your good self, right? And even I did, and I've been doing stuff for a while, but I thought, I'm going to change to strength now. I need to know what to do. And you assessed me, you checked me out for certain things that were weak, you gave me this nice variety workout, which I'm now working through and layering in, right?
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
Right. And so that's all good. But I had to come from a place that was also a bit more purpose-driven, unlike emotional-driven, in that I have this desire to want to live a long and healthy life. I want as much time on the planet and my age reversing years that I keep working on it with my son. Damn it, you there? You there, buddy?
I'm here.
Yeah?
You froze
Okay.
up, and now I'm
That's
there.
weird.
We're good.
Telecommunications here. So yeah, I had to come from a place of why am I doing this now and changing my routine? I've gone to an expert, myself, to say, okay, well, I want to build on power and strength because I'm at that age as well where it becomes more important, but also I want some variety. I want to see what it feels like. But I'm doing it from a health and longevity point of view, and to set an example. I get the leverage on myself, set an example for those that also are looking to make some changes, and that it is possible. But this is that time of year where people start to get a little shaky because they haven't been given some great advice on what they need. You know, I mean, if they come to me, I'm going to analyze them, and I'm going to get them to do a DNA fit. I'm going to get them to do some analysis on it. You know,
Sure.
you're gonna use a different approach possibly, but at least they're coming to get some help in what's right for me. What is it you want to achieve? Why do you want to do this? Right?
Yes.
All these things come into it.
I'm going to share a quick story. There was, and I might have done this one other time. I don't remember if I did. I think probably one of the first few that we did. But anyway, it's kind of the relevance of it is important. I was at a health fair at one point, and there was I had put together a free 30 days of boot camp or whatever. And I had everybody who came by to put in the box a question. I said, what are your goals and why do you want to achieve them? And I'd say that about 75 to 80% of them were, I want to lose weight and because I want to feel good or look good or whatever the case may be. And there's nothing wrong with those motivators and nothing wrong with those whys. But they were, I don't want to say they were shallow, they just didn't have substance. And I knew that if I'm going to take on somebody who, you know, understood what I was talking about, I wanted to see some serious verbiage, commitment, you know, emotion behind why. And I'll never forget this particular person. She wrote down she wanted to lose weight, and didn't matter how much weight. That's irrelevant at this point in time. But when I went through these, and I will admit I didn't go through all of them, because when I read this particular person's why, it was a no-brainer for me to pick this person. No lie, this was a dissertation from every emotive standpoint you could come up with as to why they wanted to lose the weight. It had nothing to do with the weight and the number. It had everything to do with the insecurities that they had inside, that they knew if they exercised and that they knew if they stuck with it for any length of time, how would they feel, how they would feel afterwards, how and what it would make them feel like, and what internal mechanisms would change within them. If you read this, you would have been like, oh my God, there's almost no doubt this person's, they're not going to fail. They're going, because it was so good. And I think a lot of times when everybody looks at numbers, they want to know their body fat percentage, and they want to know their weight, and those are good things. The problem is they're just numbers. And if numbers were motivators, nobody would be overweight.
Right.
Think about it. If being overweight was an issue, and those numbers were important to you and a motivator, then you wouldn't be overweight and have those numbers in the first place. Does that make sense? There's an internal mechanism that you have to, that is really the motivator. It's kind of like in marketing. They don't market to the price of a car or the look of a car. They market to the way you feel. And when you feel internally driven to buy that car, you go and buy it. And everything's about emotions and about what makes this marketplace tick, what makes this niche market tick, what makes this age group tick, this type of person tick. So you have to know what's going to make you tick. Why do you want to do this? And when you find out on an emotional level, and you go there, and it connects to you, it is a powerful, powerful thing.
Right.
This person went out to lose over 125, 130 pounds. And it was beautiful to watch. Now, here's the cool part. Let's forget the number. Let's forget. This person drove 40 to 45 minutes to the workouts, to our group session. It wasn't like it was 10 minutes down the road. This is 90 minutes of driving plus the hour of being there.
They had a
You want to
hurdle
talk
before
about,
they had a hurdle.
right, but you know what? When they wrote their why, wow. So this person had a specific why that was so powerful. So the key, what I'm getting at, and I think for all of us, because we use our emotions, we can use them to benefit us too. And they can get in our way, and we just have to learn to get out of them. But this particular person had such a connection to what was going to motivate her. And I don't think she missed but one or two. Even when she literally broke her wrist, which would knock people out, she kept coming. She's like, you know what? I can't use this arm. Big deal. I'll still drive there. I'll still do my thing. I'll still exercise. I'll just do one side. I'll use my legs. There were no excuses. So I think the power behind all this is to know your why, is to find out how are you going to feel when you accomplish this goal or this intention? What is it going to bring out? Yes, you look at the number, but internally, what type of confidence level are you going to have? What type of inspiration are you going to be to other people if that's what makes you tick? Like you just use the example. You want to be stronger, but you also want to set the example that at your age, you can do this. You can be strong enough. You can be powerful enough. And age doesn't matter. I think you brought up the fact that your motivator was it wasn't externally driven, right? You talked about your motivator, and it had everything to do with living a longer, healthier, more quality life. Right?
There we go.
That's what it was about. It wasn't about, and I'm not saying this isn't any small part of it, but it wasn't like I want to look good with a six-pack on the beach, or I want to have muscles so that when I take my shirt off, or when I walk around, it could be shallow, and it could be what people want, and there's nothing wrong with it if you get the benefits and you meet those. But it very rarely is it the sustainable types thing. So I think by you saying you want to change your life by making it more quality, you want to use it to make it more healthy, that is a different type of driver than I want a six-pack on the beach. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. For a lot of people, when they don't have the six-pack within a 4-week period, they may quit. So was that goal, was that why strong enough? Probably
and enduring.
not.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So that's the anchor that people have really got to have a look for. It is that purpose. It's that why. It's to sit down and, like a journaling session, just sit, think, dig in, find out why is it I really want to do this, and then probably have that sitting up somewhere, maybe in the bathroom or wherever, to keep reminding you, perhaps.
So you could call it an inspiration statement, right?
Inspiration statement.
You can say what 3 or 4 words, what short sentence, what is something that I can create myself from my own mind, my own heart, that will emote me and get me to move. So each day when I look at it, it's going to be part of the reminder of why I'm doing this, right? And so everybody would come up with their own as to what that inspiration statement may be. And the key is that when you look at it, it sets you into a specific direction. It has some magnetic pull to it because it brings a certain emotion to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think that an inspiration statement is a very powerful tool. It's not a goal-setting statement. It's an inspiration statement.
Right. So, the goal is the outside thing that you're pursuing. The inspiration statement's more internal stuff to a goal. So, okay, all right. What about so that's cool. So we've looked at some techniques of getting those steps to be able to get yourself to the gym, because usually once you're there, you're going to work out. Now, how intense it may be, who knows? But at least your self-management, the routine, it's still there, and you can be happy with yourself that you still got there. Okay. Then we move to, why am I doing this? Anyway, so if that ain't going to work, and then you got to dig deeper, then remember your inspiration statement. So get yourself an inspiration statement together. Have a good think about this one day, maybe over a glass of some organic red wine, biodynamic red wine from dry
Ooh.
wines in the US.
Hey, listen, if
there you
that
go.
brings about uninhibited thoughts that don't get in your way, by all means.
Right, there we go. Right, yeah, or, ayahuasca or whatever. Um, and so, and we're getting some comments from Stephen and Lisa here. Then digging deep, putting that inspiration statement together, why you are doing this. It's going to be driven from the right place that you believe, right?
Yeah.
And something that will be enduring beyond that. Okay, in relative terms, without judging it, tends to be a more of a shallow way of doing it because it's not deep enough to keep you grounded and keep you anchored into that
Yeah.
commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So people that are thinking right now have either mentally checked out or stopped, or starting to go from 3 or 4 times a week to maybe once a week, and they're kind of starting to burn out or flame out, that they perhaps should get this good foundation thing happening, right? Apart from using some of these little techniques. So, okay, now just quick check on comments here. Owen was the kettlebell champion in Singapore, I think, for the last couple of years. A friend of mine
Nice.
from the IT industry. Stephen Head, there was a book that came out about the same time titled "It's Not What You Eat, It's What's Eating You." Once again, we're in the head and we're digging into the emotions that the head's holding on to.
Yes.
Stephen Head, between that book's message and her realization was, like you say, very eye-opening. Lisa goes, wow, it's an inspiring story. What else have we got here? Do you think people need to be inspired externally too, to a degree? Maybe a support group, accountability buddies. Here we go. Right? Maybe
Yes.
get someone working out. I mean, that's another good thing too, yeah? You got any stories around
Well,
that?
absolutely. I think, an accountability group, and we've had some of those in the past through an online type thing. And I think there's something that's community driven, that you feel support, you feel like we're all in this together. I don't know of too many things that are as important as that when you talk about external motivators and external inspiration, because I think you see other people along the same journey as you, and they're experiencing the same thing, and there's some identification and some rapport that you can build with people. And the cool part about it is that people have a tendency to say, oh, you know what, this is what I went through. Oh, really? Well, I went through the same thing. How did you go about fixing? Well, this is what I did. Oh, maybe that's something that's new and different that I could try. Or even if it's about specific exercise that they didn't think they could do, and they started doing it. Well, you know what? I had trouble with that exercise too. What helped you get through it? So when there's an identification, when there's rapport, when there's sort of this community feeling where we're all in this together, there's no question that it's great for accountability. And there's also this, not that you don't want to look bad in front of other people, but there's this element of I want to present my best self to others.
And you don't let the team down. You don't let the team down as well, right?
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that type of external motivation, because community is a really important thing, because there are inspiring aspects about that. I think the problem is when you only see highlights, a lot of times that can bring doubt. So I could never do that. But when you can identify with some people's struggles, because you've been through those too, there's an element of, wow, if she could overcome that, or if he could overcome that, and I'm in that same situation, wow, maybe I can do it too. And sometimes it's just a matter of a glimmer of hope that I'm not on an island by myself here. Other people have done this, whether it's eating better or exercising and taking care of themselves. There are so many sort of inspiring stories. I mean, some of the groups that I've had, we've had people lose anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 pounds, or even up to 40 pounds, and kept it off, right? The interesting part is that you have this sort of, we're in this together. We're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, right? And which is the opposite a lot of times when you look at the people you surround yourself with. So a lot of times when you think about your influential group that you're around on a daily basis, sometimes you have to take that into consideration. And if you have and I'm going to be putting together another one of my accountability groups in February. And I think the benefit of it is not only you'll get results, but you'll have this community about it. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many other ways that you could hold yourself accountable, connect with others who are in the same position as you, because a lot of times some of the most important people in your life, whether it be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, sometimes those people aren't too supportive. Sometimes they have a tendency to hold you back if you allow them. If you're not
Right.
in a mental state that's strong enough that, you know what, I don't care what he or she says, I'm going forward because I'm committed to me. I'm
Yeah.
driven by me. I want to be the best version of me that I know I am. I just need to overcome these hurdles. Even though this person isn't supporting me, that's okay. That's their awareness level. That's their story. But it's not going to be
Yep.
my story. That
Right.
mentality can be rare.
Right.
So if a person can get around support, can get around others who are in the same journey as them, over time, there'll be an internal mechanism that will start to flow through them. That's internal belief.
Right.
There's this sort of, you know what, I
Yeah.
can do this. I've seen
Right.
others and I've done it myself. Therefore, I am empowered. And
Well, yeah.
it's almost this sort of this shield of strength that no matter how many arrows are thrown at me by my partner, by my husband or wife, by the people that are close to me, there are people who have friends that will get jealous or get upset that you're moving forward and try to hold you back. And on an
Oh yeah.
emotional level, you'll either follow that or you won't.
Yeah.
And so these accountability groups do make a huge difference.
I think it's massive, right?
Yeah.
So because I mean, you've got a number of factors that's going to pull you. One is there's an obligation that now you're part of a team, you don't let them down. There's that you're in that mode of operation, especially if maybe you're a corporate dude. It's like a meeting. Oh shit, they're expecting me to be there. I've got to be there, right?
Yes.
There's the support that you'll get.
That doesn't
Yeah,
work.
thanks for that. There's the support that you'll get, right?
Yeah.
With and that feeling of connection, the social part, which you know, to look at like I've got these 7 aspects of the mandala and middle-aged millennial, and one of them is to do with connection, right?
Yes.
Social. There's a social aspect to it. So you've got all these things that can pull you, and like you said, you might not have believed yourself enough, and this is actually now pulling you, and the accountability piece, and maybe it's with one person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something you just enjoy doing socially, but you go there, you do it, and you get belief in yourself because you're the one that still had to do the work. And that's facts. You still had to do the work.
And this is where emotions can be your best friend, right?
Right.
Because when you recognize the fact that you've done these things, when you recognize through your consciousness that, and you're aware, hopefully I'm not shaking too much. I'm trying to this call. The shoulder's a little weak, so I notice I'm struggling holding this steady. I need a cameraman.
Well, I'm actually leaning. I lean on a to keep it still. I'm leaning on a sliding door that gives me the background, so I'm cheating a bit. So
That's
not
all
that
right.
not that good, but maybe a bit smarter.
Yeah. So absolutely. So I think emotions can be very powerful aspects of pushing us in the gym, like getting excited about the workout, getting excited about achieving your goals and your intentions, getting excited about that particular exercise, or overcoming this specific thing that's been in, or getting excited that you've been a struggle with and now all of a sudden you start to like, getting excited about a new recipe, getting excited about a new exercise or a new routine, or getting excited about a new goal. These emotions can be of benefit to you, but you have to recognize them. And a lot of times we have so many distractions outside of us that can pull like a magnet away from who we are and what we truly want. And so we have to really stay connected, I think, on a daily basis to the things that we did well, to the things that we've sort of in a review your direction type of way. Recognize what you did that day that kept you in the right direction. Recognize the things that, you know what, I decided to do this today, and it's not really what I wanted to do. It wasn't in alignment with what I wanted. What was the reason why? Where was my headspace? What was I feeling? Did I have a conversation before that with somebody that would sort of put me in a different headspace? Did something happen to me? And just become aware. I think the awareness of your emotions are a huge benefit.
Right. Totally.
You know, when
yeah, go on.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, look, I mean, you got to be aware that your emotions are just your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
They're not you.
Yeah.
They're not you. So when you get that third eye thing going on, it's probably the first consciousness step, right? To go, oh, I'm feeling this way. It doesn't mean that this is not me. It's just that I have this feeling. I have this emotion going on right now, right? And so you kind of separated yourself from it. It's like a bit of a third party thing.
Yep.
To then go, okay, and that's all it is. It's an emotion, it's a feeling, and it will pass. And there's different ways to have it pass, right? So yeah, go on, you're going to say something.
Yeah, so I think there are times where we learn to channel. I use the word channel, and I've done in the past on this. I've been in a headspace at times where I've been frustrated or angry about something, or disappointed about something, stressed out about something, and I learned to channel that energy into something positive like exercise. I've said, okay, let me take this sort of energy that I don't like, the feeling of it, and let me flip it. Let me take it and make it a positive. And exercise has been something that has been that tool to do to change my mood at the moment, or to change that feeling, that emotion I have at the time. So our perspective around our emotions can dictate it, but we also know that we can control our perspective. So yes, I'm in a saddened or frustrated state, but I can control that by taking action. I think one of the biggest things that action can do is it can literally change your state of mind, right then and there, by taking action, by almost like, not that you don't want to be aware of your emotions, but if your emotions are controlling your actions, in the sense that, I'm supposed to exercise today, but my emotions may override that.
Right.
We have to find a way to channel that and say, I'm going to take this energy, this stress, this anger, this frustration, and I'm going to put it to good use.
Right.
I'm going to put it to good use, and you know what? I'm going to use it as my fuel.
There we go. Now that's interesting, right? That's key.
Yes. That is a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
And it takes practice, right? This isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but once you do it, and once you see the benefit of it and the change, you go back to it. When you recognize that, you know what, if I'm ever in that state of mind again, I'm going to use that tool, because you know it worked, right? And everybody has that choice. The biggest thing that we do on a subconscious level is we don't think we have a choice, because this is just the way it is. This is the way my whole life's been. It's never going to work out.
I think that's the old story. Yeah.
Yes. And we have to truly understand that we do have a choice.
The past does not equal the future.
Yes, exactly. And that, listen, good or bad, right? Just like we've all heard, just because a stock did really well in the past doesn't mean it will in the future.
Yeah.
But we can't control that stock per se, because we're not running the company, right?
Yeah.
But we can control our stock. We can't control our emotions. We can't control our physical stock.
Yeah.
And once we realize that we have that power, we can become unstoppable. We can become that, because we've learned that we can control that. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things we can learn, is to learn to control our emotions, learn to utilize them, and to go from listen, very few people are going to go from a saddened state or depressed state to a totally bliss, hyper excited state. It just doesn't work that way. So we learn to neutralize, right? We learn to neutralize and say, okay, let me get back to neutral here. Let me sort of flip this thought process and get to neutral, and then allow myself to move forward one step at a time. And one step at a time means the next decision. The next decision. I can literally change my momentum going the wrong direction by one decision. And it doesn't have to be this huge decision. It could be, you know what? I was going to eat that bad food. I was going to cancel my workout. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to cancel that. I'm not going to cancel the workout. I'm just going to do 10 minutes.
Right. Yep. That's all.
I'm not going to eat that. Right. I'm not going to eat that cookie or cake. I'm going to choose to have this instead.
Yeah.
It may not be the best thing, but I'm going to incrementally change. Right. And it's the next decision that you make that can be the most powerful game changer of that moment and being in the moment. Go ahead.
So beautiful. And this is probably a good place to land as well. We're up on the hour, and some comments that are flowing through here. We've got Owen who's come up. Oh, well, we've got the transmography he's got to mention as well from Stephen Head. But Owen Gann, motion creates emotion. Totally. And we had Anne Shivas actually mentioned, I think it was last week, that, what is it? It was motion is the best potion, or motion is the best lotion as well. And here we have
Did you say motion or emotion?
Motion
yes.
creates emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Motion is the best potion, as well as the best lotion. Right? It sort of came out of Anne's podcast, FE Live last week. So, so this is good. So just to summarize, then what I'm picking up is breaking down the goal. Even like you just mentioned now, the 10 minutes. Just go for 10 minutes, right? And I was breaking it down to just get your gear on. Just roll up to the gym. Just walk while you're there. Break it all down, and to give yourself a tick, if you just do those things. For me, another one I do is I don't take my gym gear off until I've been working out. Now I had my I've got to do my cardio today. This stuff ain't coming off until the cardio happens, right?
Right.
But then you've got also digging into purpose. Why are you doing this? Sit down.
Yes.
Have that organic glass of probably dry wine, so it's lower in alcohol and it's biodynamic, clean, no preservatives.
I love it.
Right, with a whole lot of resveratrol. And then, or your ayahuasca, and get into going inside deep. Why are you doing this? Then we've gone for the accountability piece. Do it with the tribe for the many reasons that, whether you're obligation driven and or you like a social aspect and or because it's fun and or what was it? The accountability piece, right? Someone's watching you. Then we went to the mind. The mind has kind of flowed through this whole thing. If you analyze the common thread amongst all these things, it all came down to how you, and with emotions, negative or positive, how you can actually work through those, because you're not emotion, you're feeling an emotion right now. And that motion creates emotion, as we've got here, right, from Owen. So.
Yeah, I love the thought process that motion can create emotion, right? And it can be the potion or the lotion, because there's an aspect of it that sort of creates this lubrication of the body, but also of the mind. Yeah. Okay. Movement changes your perspective. It changes your outlook. It changes your brain chemistry. It changes your mental and emotional status.
You got hormones going off too. I mean, you get more endorphins. You start moving, you got endorphins starting to flow.
So you can create your own drug-like effect by moving your body. You can, so you don't necessarily need an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety. You can create your own the motion that you want through motion by moving.
There we go.
And sometimes you have to intellectualize things to overcome that emotion of sadness or frustration or whatever it is that's causing you. Right. And understand, like I had one of my coaching clients last night.
Yep.
They were in a place of maybe sabotage, and they literally said, okay, I'm just going to go on the treadmill. I'm going to go on the treadmill and I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to push myself, and I'm not going to make excuses. And and she said she had her best sweat session. It literally changed her whole perspective that night. And she mentioned the next morning, today, saying, you know what, I woke up with a better state of mind. I felt lighter.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, you moved, which changed your chemistry within your mind and your emotions and your physicality. Therefore, you are lighter. So we have to understand that when emotions are within us constantly, and typically the negative ones, they can cause sludge or a backup or staleness.
Right.
And by moving the body, you can literally undo the staleness, unlock them by creating a huge hormonal change, huge endorphin change, a huge neurotransmitter change, all those quote unquote verbiages that you can now change and lubricate and use the potion to change your mentality, right? And again, exercise literally changes the electrical capacity of the muscles. It's like you're charging a battery, because your muscles are like batteries. And when you charge them, they change the whole chemistry within you. So there's nothing more beneficial than movement. I don't care if you do movement. I don't care if it's a bike ride, a walk,
but
going up a mountain. Move, get circulation, get rid of the staleness.
If you want to live go on, long and healthy life. Yeah, that's what it's about.
And in the moment when you're having trouble, sometimes you have to just say, F it, I'm doing this. There has to be this sort of mechanism, you know what, I'm going to do this. There's something within me that I'm going to overcome this, and I'm going to change my physical chemistry and my muscle chemistry right now by actually doing it. I'm going to do it. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And all of a sudden you start to feel good. You're like, oh, well, I'm going to stick with this. So I love that motion is the potion that creates a better emotion. I love it.
There we go. With a bit of lotion. So we got the emotion lotion potion. So it's all happening there. You know, here's another one for you. Action alleviates anxiety. So while you're there going, shall I? Just frickin' move. Action. Get into it. Whatever that is. That could be exercise. That could be something else. Just action alleviates anxiety. So
no question about it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother session. So we're going to land this.
Okay.
You know, I think that, you know, you ask all of these longevity experts, the number one thing that if they only had one that they could draw from, what would it be to living a longer and healthier life? It's movement, right? It's the stuff that you do, Matty, and the area that you're an expert in. So, you know, that's where we start. And like Matty just said, it doesn't have to be in the gym. Get out and move. Like our ancestors did, they led a totally different life to us. You know, we're sitting in those cubicles a lot of the time in those corporate factories. That's what they are, right? They're corporate factories. It's just white collars instead of blue. And, you know, we've got to get moving. And we've got to be doing the stand-up desk thing up and down. We've just got to get moving. And so a lot of tricks of the trade just came out through the last hour. And if you want to get more specific on that, then, you know, contacting this guy here on my right.
Yes.
Matty Attanasio, PM Matt Attanasio.
Hey,
Matt Attanasio,
listen, you could say Matty. Matty was what I got called as a younger person, as an athlete. Matty was a constant thing. So it's a good, you brought about a good feeling, youthful feeling by saying Matty. I thought
so. Right, there we go.
So subconsciously you knew that.
Yeah, I did. I prefer it. Well, yeah, I can relate. And so, yeah, hence Tommy, not Tom. Yeah, contact this guy. If you want to get more specific about what the right sort of exercise is for you and kind of a good to great thing, then I'm working with actually Matty on that as well. But I'm working with the PH360 and looking at the epigenetic factor because I'm all about the genetics and epigenetics on this. So you can PM me directly here on Middle Aged Millennial as well. Or if you can't find Matty, then just PM me and I'll connect you up with him as well. So, Matty, thanks again, man. That was a blockbuster session. There was some super good stuff in there for people to stay with it, especially this time of year. Here's some techniques and things, and they're not quick fix things, but they are the right things for you to continue on and get some motion, creating some emotion, as Owen said here. Thank you to Stephen, Lisa, and everybody else contributing on the side.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you on the next one. Any parting quick words, Matty?
Other than the fact that I think Just I want people to move their bodies so that they understand the value and the quick response that they're going to get from movement. There's nothing better than connection to self through movement. It brings about a huge different feeling. It's such an uplifting place to be. It will literally change your outlook within minutes. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Within minutes, it'll change it.
Too true. It chemically changes you. It chemically changes you.
Without question.
Motion is the lotion, potion, and creates emotion. And on that,
positive emotion.
Positive emotion, yeah. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Remember to live life right here, right now, because that's all you got, dude. The rest is just in your head. See you on the next one, Matty.
Ciao.
All right. Bye, guys.